Well, let's take a closer look then at the cost of load shedding on business. The South African United Business Confederation President George Sebulela joins me tonight. Mr. Sebulela, thanks for your time. Eskom talks about 240 million rand being lost daily to every stage of load shedding. The city of Cape Town was saying to Atim Tongana just a little earlier that it costs them 100 million rand for every stage on a daily basis. And so when one thinks about the cumulative cost of load shedding on the country on a day-to-day basis, it's money we simply can't afford to be losing.
Yeah. Firstly, thank you for inviting us. I think you're quite correct. You can imagine the impact it has throughout the entire value chain. Let's look at a scenario in which case even the large listed companies who have to stock goods with the view and the intention that some SMME is going to come and procure those goods from those warehouses. You can imagine the impact it has on the SMME that does not have the capital to acquire those goods, and then thereafter the interest amount that is going to cost to that listed company because the SMME businesses have closed. So the entire value chain, there's a huge impact across the entire value chain. I've had a number of people commenting to say at least the big companies, they have the solution in terms of procuring a different energy solution in order to deal with this situation. But what they forget is the same listed company has to service a customer, and that customer in majority is the SMMEs, and that has a ripple effect, other than even the impact, the serious impact it has to the SMME businesses that closes their businesses. It is a very quite sad scenario in this case.
When we bring this down to your small to medium enterprises, we had one on the show earlier who said, running a generator the entire day was costing him 1,200 rand. And you multiply that on a 30-day calendar, business calendar, you're literally looking at about 36,000 that is being lost by this gentleman who owns a butcher and is running a small shop. That is an amount that many small businesses simply can't afford to keep losing on an ongoing basis.
Look, let's take the life of the SMME today as we sit. There has been a negative impact of COVID, which has had a serious impact to that individual, the butcher owner. Secondly, the cost of the goods has gone threefold higher compared to the previous few years. Now, we talked about the petrol scenario. Just recently, Mr. Sibiya was talking about the impact that increase in petrol has to the same butcher, because he has to transport goods from A to B. Secondly, now comes the energy impact that happens, because now he has to buy a generator, he has to buy diesel. You can imagine that life is already unaffordable to that Mr. Butcher in order for them to be successful. So in a nutshell, the economy of South Africa, what this impact of load shedding is doing today, it's basically crippling the economy. It is crushing the economy in a manner that to survive in the near future is going to be extremely very difficult.
Mr. Sebulela, one of the things that comes to mind is this country feels like it's on the brink, and that much of our economy, even parts of our communities, are literally just hanging by a thread. Do you get the sense that we have the necessary responses to the multiple crises we're facing right now?
Look, I think that the biggest impact today that is happening in our country is the energy generation, which Eskom becomes the center and the pillar of economic activity. Now, if we are able really to deal with this situation and we begin to begin to address all the red tapes and legislations that really takes us. I mean, the CEO Eskom came very publicly to say, you know, there are serious challenges around certain actions that need to be taken. At the same time, we have what you call the most difficult, challenging legislation that is called PFMA, which makes really the agency and action of government become stifled because of that legislation. So I think we need to review our processes and our policies within the country if indeed we want to deal with these challenges as a matter of agency. And therefore, I mean, we know that there won't be any emergency energy that comes in a very short to medium term. So which means we have to adapt to this situation. And I don't see that happening quite easily as long as we have the difficult challenges of moving from stage 4 to stage 6. And maybe we might have a situation that can even become much more worse.
All right.
And that requires a collaboration of all the key stakeholders to be involved and be able to come up with an urgent solution.
SA United Business Confederation President George Sebulela. Let's leave it there for tonight. It's just after 6:30. Let's take a quick look at